Hi, it's Happy Dave, and we're on the CLAUDing lab. It's for February, and what we're doing this morning for about 3 hours, I guess, is we're going to be working with POEM, Prompt Orchestration Engineering Method, and BMAD method today as well. So yesterday I was just testing out some ideas on the POEM framework and realized that I'd done these ideas in a couple of different projects, but they weren't currently in the core SDK around POEM. The problem is that they're not meant to be done in the SDK till Epic 5, and I'm currently in the second half of Epic 4. So this morning, I think all I want to do is try and resume the POEM creation system in BMAD and just see where we're up to on it and keep moving from there. Now, the idea of the CLAUDing lab is if you want to listen to it, it's a bit boring just to listen to straight away. I plan to turn a lot of this stuff into little podcast sessions, probably using Notebook LM, and also this is aimed more at AI agents than it is at human listening. So the idea of these streams is that they'll be fed into Project Theodore. Project Theodore is part of my agentic OS system. Anyway, let's get into it, and we'll just check that our live stream has started. Looks like it has. This is good. We'll close that down. I might just pop into X for a moment, just check what's going on here for a moment. We'll jump down to profile. The live stream started at the moment. So this is cool. Okay, let's get out of here. And this morning I've got a 2.5 hour live stream from 2 days ago being transferred over into using Whisper AI on my computer. We're only 20 minutes into that. That'll take a few hours to do. Now, that leads to a little conversation I've got going on down here. And let's make sure we get the right screens in place. That's cool. So over here, I'm just putting some information into a second brain around the agentic operating system. One of those questions was whether those transcriptions should be done off-site with the Grok endpoint. Grok has free for normal sort of usage. My usage might be a little bit beyond it, but it's incredibly fast. It uses the Whisper 3 heavy model. But because I'm building the agentic operating system with 3 different computers, it may be that I'll offload it to the M2 or maybe even to this computer, because this computer won't be the primary soon. It'll be the secondary. Okay, let's just go over to Visual Studio. Now I'm just wondering, let's see if I've got other Visual Studios running. I've got POEM. We're going to be working in POEM today. Got Anthropic Claude. I'm looking at Boris's thread that he did recently. We've just done some work around remotion. Let's actually get that published. Let's just PWDC. This is a nature, even though we're meant to be talking about POEM and BMAD, you don't always get to. So I'm just over in a Happy Day directory. We just cd into 012 gs git. Oh, okay. That's interesting too. That's probably a problem. LSA, CD into 008, git remote -v, okay, GHB. Let's just see what we got here. While that's happening, we'll jump down into CD 007, no, 9, which is the remotion. I just did remotion testing yesterday. It was interesting. So let's just take that, jump in here, go into Claude and say I don't currently have the 00 excuse me, remotion in a Git repo. It should be in the appy Dave app a day organization. Testing. Okay. Can you make that happen? I've given you the pattern below. So I just want to make sure, I'll just jump up to appy Dave app a day repos. I want to see a 009 up here. I also want to see 0012 up here because I just noticed it wasn't. So at the moment it's just creating the repository. Can I get you to go into a sibling folder? Should start with 012 and do the same thing. Before you do that, just check, does it look to be 12 different micro applications inside of Harness? So it's just checking the structure. This is when I did the 12 days of Claudemas. Let's just go to here and here. And I wonder if I got playlists around this. 12 days of Claudemas. I wonder if I've got 12.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
Let's get out of here. Why can't you see the actual, oh there they are, 12 of them. So these 12 videos here should have a code repository going on. I'm just refreshing, so 009 just popped in and it should be based on, okay. This is not the right location. No, you shouldn't. Can you track down where I did the actual code? I wonder where I did it, if not the appy Dave app a day. Let's jump into this folder here. No. Here. We got fly deck, fly gen. Oh, I did it in the app hub. Yes, of course, I have pushed it already. That's cool. So I think we can stop that conversation, which means I'm just going to press enter on this conversation. There's just some notes I'm collecting on the agentic operating system. I'll just make sure it's going into the second brain. Let's pop over here and figure out what the heck I've been doing. Conversation doesn't look like it added things correctly. Let's go down to VS Code. Let's just do it here. Git remote Claude slash. Let's just get that one committing this code. I just want to have a look. These were the little video snippets that I was playing with yesterday. Just run a refresh. No, hasn't come through yet. Untracked files. Let's look at the git ignore on this. Kick that off. I did ask it to do everything. I don't know why it didn't. Now we're looking better. Exit out. GS, great. Let's get out of here, not needed anymore. Close that window. Anthropic Claude, I want to keep that for now. We'll go over to Poem, and do I need the support signal Poem? I think I do. I'll bring that up as well. So we get some problems with how this tool works. That was one of the issues I was running into last night. Session notes, let's leave them where they are. I think I should just come into Poem and just go straight into Claude and ask where we're at. So exit out of that, we'll jump over to here. We might jump down to here actually. Clear out, clear out. Clear out. Claude. Jeez, I jumped a bunch of versions overnight. Let's go and have a look at the release notes on this. So it was 27, no, it was 29 the last I looked. It says it's on 31. We don't have a release notes for that, but let's see what we got. Add pages parameter. That's cool. There's the 31 release note. What's this? No. Oh, this looks really nice. Very cool. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look at the state of the project using the BMAD point of view. I believe we're in Epic 4. We're in the latter half of it. I want to know what story we're up to. I want to know how many stories we got left. And I want a summary of each of the stories left to go. And then also run a background agent just to have a look at any backlog items, issue items, see if there's anything I also need to be aware of from that point of view. I think it's been about a week or two since I've looked at, no, it's maybe even 3 weeks since I've looked at actually building Pome, and so it's about rebooting my own memory here because I switch between a lot of projects all the time. I'm forever doing this, so one of the things I'm looking to do is have a much more dynamic memory in place, maybe something like Kybernetes or Super Memory or something from Cole Medin, I guess. He has his system for memory, and yeah, anyway, we'll let that go. Let's see what this conversation is doing. So it's checking the backlog and issues at the moment, looking through the stories in Epic 4. While it's doing that, I'll grab some water. Okay. So, while we're waiting, let's just have a look at the Whisper AI flow. Let's go over here, we'll close that. Oh, it's called Just. I wanted to know about that. Okay. Where are you at? 35 minutes. So 2 hours to go on that. That is still working, but we can go and am I going to make that readable? Let's pop that there. Okay. Just want to read about this. Just copy that information. When it comes to coding and frameworks, memory systems that we might want to integrate in, it's going to be useful to have a list of things that should be researched. This is one of them. It's called Pi. Also, when we look at the command line and trying to find things quickly, we have our jump system already. But we might also want to look at an open source system called Just. In a background task, can I get you to go and look at a librarian called Lisa? You will find her in 2 locations. She is essentially the same in both, but in the poem system, she's more about the documentation. In the support signal system, she's more about the documentation and the code base. What she does is she curates and tags different documentation. Since we're doing a lot of stuff in the second brain, that probably should follow similar discovery rules. I think it might be important to go and investigate her in the background task and see whether we can make a copy of her available over here. She's described in 2 different ways. There's the agent itself, which currently lives in something called the poem core, I believe. Better check that. The other is that she also has a shim for Claude in the .claude folder, I believe. Let's go see where we're up to on this. Why is that happening? Put that there. Put that there. We're in the poem system. Import the template. Extract schemas from the template. I think I might just play around. Time is at 10 o'clock. I got 3 hours before the next meeting. I think I'm going to play around with the 4.7 onwards, but I think there's going to be a lot of manual stuff here. I don't think I'm going straight into BMAD workflows so far. Let's make sure we've got the Visual Studio running correctly, and Let's go have a look at data. Let's go look at the YouTube launcher optimizer. Let's come back to here and say, okay, read 4.6.5 and give me a little bit more details around that particular story. Also, tell me it in relation to the YouTube launch optimizer. In particular, where are we going to put the data and the schema? Where are we going to test this? And what do we already have in place for it? Let's see what it's doing here. So I'll just configure. If I needed to go and work back in the Poem SDK, what design notes and ideas would I need to give it in absolute path form related to the changes we've been making over here on schemas and on YAML files, workflows, even just the structure? What do I need to let it know about? Oh, it's doing that. If I told you that what you've done for me with 4.6.5 is okay, but if I wanted to go into a bit of a free form flow for the next couple of hours, and what I want to do is not so much worry about what we're doing with the stories, but actually, let's say I'm using, through your help, I manually reshape everything to do with the YouTube Launch Optimizer workflow. And as we make decisions and as we make changes and as we create tools and as we create or uncover issues, we document it all into a set of files, and those files could be used to inform all the physical changes we're going to make in Epic 4 and potentially even Epic 5. Now, with that said, I'd already done a little bit of this sort of work on a different project. The project specifically is poem.support signal, where we've done a fair bit of work on an incident workflow. And we were doing the same thing. We were documenting certain files. So I'm going to give you that information as well, because you can probably take a lot of the information as starting points for you. But also what you can do is follow the patterns and make the changes over here in this system as well, and document it so that it's ready for when we get back onto story development. Can I get you to unpack what you know from the conversation you're in right now, plus unpack what you know from this extra context I've given you, and maybe go into planning mode and think this through deeply. Let's go into plan mode. Let's pop up here and see what we're going to copy. If you want me to go and grab other information from that system, let me know, or you can go and look yourself. I'll let you figure it out. Use as many sub-agents and thought processes as you need. We're currently sitting at 40% context usage right now. Okay, this is going to take a while. What I should probably do is, while that's doing its thing, I should probably just go through and think what I want to do here. Actually, you know what I never do? I never use Claude from here. And this might be useful. Can I move it anyway? Can it be here? Look at that. Okay. I want you to look at certain files, and I'll show you a screenshot. Notice how ugly it looks. What would you do to clean it up? Let that go. This other conversation we had has broken out into a bunch of exploration agents. Support signal. It's looking at the Epic 4.5. Okay, let's come back here. Tried to make a tool to do this yesterday, both in Support Signal and in the YouTube Launch Optimizer. It worked well in Support Signal, but then it failed drastically in the YouTube Launch Optimizer, which is what we're testing here anyway. So what I thought I'd do, yes, allow, is we can just work through it manually. I might also delete files as I go. So when you think about what you just did, can you think of a little rules file? Can we just put it in the same folder? Can we call it and we can keep referring to it as we format these files on a case-by-case basis. So I pulled up the wrong page earlier. So that's kind of formatted things. Now, later on, we want to use Penny, the prompt engineer, to improve on these, but this is okay. I wonder if we should do that at the same time. That's a really interesting idea. Let's go into Claude number 2. Penny. I believe you have best practices on how we should be doing our prompt setups and structures. Can I just get you to look at this one and tell me if there's anything you think should be improved? And I'm going to go and grab, I think the relative path is fine. Now, over here, I'm just going to say why, when I do VS Code, I'm pressing web, that's why. I'm also going to have observations from time to time when I'm looking at each of those files. I think you know what file I'm on at the moment, so you're going to be able to tag it pretty well, but this one can go into 0-observations markdown. We're looking at a file called configure, and in a previous system this made sense, but it doesn't make so much sense in the poem way of doing things. What normally would happen is that you'd have these human in the loop input steps, and so the configure is a human in the loop input step, but it's just a terribly designed one. So all it gives us is a project code, a short title, a project folder, and a transcript. I think it's got mixed concepts going in there. Now, each of those probably do need to be loaded in, but they don't need to be processed. For instance, the suggested titles and the actual transcript, what we're going to do with the transcript, happen after configuration. But it's not too bad. I just want to let you know. Just let that go. Let's also have a look at what Penny thought of this. missing a schema. Pine principle number 1 is schema first design. Well, this is good. We can build that. External reference for title format, but doesn't define them. Where's the title format? Okay. 2, option A. This is cool. One, create schema. This is good. Notice that there are 2 files in the system. Which is related to they have already been earmarked for specific usage. But you've got a whole lot of suggestions and ideas here, and I don't want to act on any of your ideas. I just want to, well, I may do from time to time, but I probably don't. I think I want to do it in a second pass. So if you're working on a file such as I just want your observations to go here. We can deal with that later. So let's head over here. Piss off. I think I'm going to like using CLAUDing. Past conversations, untitled now. So where's the conversation I was just having? Oh, great. It closed it down and it lost it. You dick. Why can't I find that file? At 0 dash. It's very slow. is where I'm recording stuff here in the conversation while I look at each individual prompt file. Another conversation is dealing with any penny related files. There's only one at the moment. We're now going to have a look at the current file. What I'd like you to do is just format it cleanly. You've got a rules file to work with. In fact, can you rename the rules file to formatting rules? Why didn't that happen? Testing. Oh, dude, just slow. Okay, that should clean up. Let's head over here. Let's work on 1.2. When you do your assessment, I want you to think about it from the structural changes for inputs and outputs. And also, if you look at something, especially this one, I want to know whether you'd even improve it from title generation capability. Super Whisper is going slow. I don't know why. Testing. I want you to look at 1.2 now. I want you to observe based on the formatting structures, the inputs and the outputs. I also want you to give observations on a better prompt for getting the output I want. Okay. While that's happening, I think we can go and have a look at what it figured out here. Well, how much information is in here? Shit. This is going to, what we've been doing on the right is going to migrate to the left, I think. I think we might do all our work from here. create the new directories under YouTube Launch Optimizer that you've talked about. You can go and start the design notes as you've specified. That sucks. I understood what I was looking at with the patterns, but I didn't understand what you were doing with the patterns. If it's just you're going to be documenting it all, then cool. If it's something else, let me know. We can go on to phase 3 and 4 as well, if that's part of the documented plan. Actually, let's... I'm pretty happy with everything here. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of additional context. I just want you to absorb them both and see if they shift anything you're doing. As you receive this context, I just want you to note how I thought I'd be working through things. I think it's in alignment with what you're talking about, but I was pretty much going to work through everything a prompt at a time. And what I'm doing in the last 2 minutes while you were creating your plan may not actually be as efficient as what you've got. So I'm not suggesting that you change your plan, but look at what I've done here. I have a formatting rules document that I've been building up, because as I look at each template, I start to get a feel for how I would like it to look. And it's not something I can know at the end. I've just got to work through it iteratively, and you'll see that information when I paste extra context. I've also got an observations file, which may be similar to some of the ones that you've already seen and documented above. Plus, rather than letting Penny go and refactor too much, I felt that Penny's ability to refactor stuff may potentially be something that's done after the fact, once we've observed a lot of information. And so I was creating these individual Penny files as well. So if I just paste in those two conversations, just see whether they integrate into your plan or change anything. If your plan is better than my plan, that's cool. I'm just going to copy everything I can from here. Why is this not easy to copy? See what it does with all of that. I should stop, because I'm going to create more pain for myself than anything, so I'm going to exit out of that conversation. I might even exit out of that one, and that one, and I might also let's just come over here for a minute. Wrong folder, I bet. It's nearly 11 o'clock. Doing that, let's go over to our second brain. Oh, we were pulling over Lisa. Investigation complete. Perfect fit for the brains. Why it works. The only thing that's probably problematic about your structure, let's say you do BMAD core Lisa as an example. This is not BMAD core. This is really just potentially an agent or skills. I think skills work better for me, and as such probably should follow the Anthropic way of doing skills. Now the location of the skills can be under the AD brains, but we've got a second brain of knowledge all around Anthropic and in particular skills, so we should be following the official patterns. That means that if we're going to create a skill 2, we should be using the Anthropic skill creator. It's the thing that does the best job, just using a lot of the context that we got here. The only thing in here that'll be problematic is because this is retroactively adding to quite a complex brain, the hook related to pre-commits has to be very flexible, because we're going to have a lot of problems, because I'm sure there are already a lot of problems in the data already. Okay, let's see where we got to. Where are we? That's a lot of information to read. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Incremental, build our knowledge prompt by prompt. Document, yeah, we just preserve the penny files as observations rather than actions. When you're using Poem in the, once it's working, you wouldn't do it this way, but we don't really know how penny is meant to work. We don't understand how full workflows are meant to work yet. Start formatting observations, cross-cutting design issues. This is so useful. Second pass, act on the prioritized observations. So we got a plan. Got the directory structure. Okay. Would you like me to proceed? I want you to write up the plan. I want to kick off the plan from another conversation, and if the plan happens to have tasks, I'll make sure the environment variable is set so that tasks are remembered between conversations. I want you to have a save state and resume state section in the plan, or auxiliary files. Let the plane go. Noisy plane going overhead. The reason is that if I start a new session, I should just be able to resume from the previous session. And that's why you'll have some instructions on how to persist the state, which I will decide when I want to call it. I'll probably do it when we're around 5 to 10% context left. So write up the plan. Give me a nice name that we might name this environment variable to store the task list in. Do the stuff I asked about, preloading and saving state, and then once we're done, we'll close down this story. For us to close down the story, though, you have to have a handover message in the conversation itself. Okay, let's go back and have a look at the other one. It does. What are we going to do though? To move forward, are we going straight into skills creation or something else? I want to start executing. I think you have enough knowledge already. You've already fucked up. I told you quite explicitly that you're meant to use the skill creator. What am I missing here and what are you missing here? Maybe you are meant to be writing a file directly. I don't have a problem if you do that, so long as you can clarify with me why you didn't start with the skill creator. Now, go and have a look at the troubleshooting guide around us working with skills, because this is an ongoing pain in the ass issue. Anthropic created a skill which I've installed, I believe. If I haven't installed it, let me know and I'll install it. Called the skill creator. It knows the API structures of building skills correctly. If your first statement after this is write a file, read a file, bash a fucking file, you are not using the right technique, because the first thing I'm expecting you to do is to use a skill that should be installed. If it's not installed, that's on me. But please look at the troubleshooting guide. That sucks. I love skills and I hate them. I hate trying to create them. I think I need to go do more investigation myself into the best practice. I've been asking Claude to do it for me, but it keeps not following its own guidelines. So here's our plan. This looks massive. So much work. At least the AI is doing it. It's doing it at the speed of inference, they call it. Yes, clear context. Go. Ah, we're in planning mode. That's the problem. Oh no, we're not. I don't know. Did it say that? I'm going to start a new. I just want you to investigate the anthropic skills for best practices and how do we invoke the skill creator skill. Did that go and create a file for me somewhere? Poem data. Review and format section. Oh, this is not necessarily what I wanted it to do. Can I get you to stop? I think we got some sort of misalignment with the plan. The plan is meant to have a massive amount of human in the loop, and you just seem to be working through things automatically. I don't understand how we missed that when building the plan. certain things can be automated, like the penny file that you created can be automated, but I really I want to have a look at everything. So you going through each format and each penny update and is okay, but as soon as you've done one of them, you're meant to stop and say, I've updated these two files. Can I get some guidance? And that way, when we're doing the formatting rules and the observations, especially the observations, I can give you some feedback and you can write them based on the human in the loop observations. Otherwise, we're going to have a destroyed system. Need to pay more attention to that. That sucks. Let's see how this is going. I'm going to come back to that one later. This one's not as important. Let's go back to number 2. Have a look at what we're doing. Got it. I am going to review and give you my information right now. This is cool. This is cool. So okay, so I'm just looking at the first one, which is 1-2 title shortlist, and I'm looking at Penny's point of view. So when I see the missing key elements, especially the no structured output specification, these are things that we will want to update. I love the schema inference that you've picked. It's good. From a human interaction point of view, once we've got a list of title ideas, somewhere we need to allow the human to select them. I don't know whether we're doing it in this step or whether it's in the next step, but we do need to do it. And it should be the way you said, hybrid. It should be a bunch of ideas followed by AI recommendations, and then the human can select a couple, and we need a new output parameter for what the human actually does select or confirm. Now, I'm not sure how the plan of action that you've come up with deals with creating the schema file. Are we doing it on a case-by-case basis, or is that done a bit later on in a future parse? Once you've answered that for me, I'll then go and look at 1.3 for you.
If you want your
And your plan, if it needs any updating, or at least the instructions behind the plan should note that I'm actually happy to go slow and deal with things one prompt at a time. As we move through this, it should get faster because the way you write, say, for instance, the penny observations will have more context from me gate checking and QAing every prompt that you work through. And so the next time you look at a next prompt template, it'll be much more improved. So before we even kick off, to absorb that information I just said, and then what I'm expecting is that we will work through one prompt at a time. And what I want to know also right now is just what are the phases in the future as well. So this is phase one. We're just doing deep dive analysis of every prompt. But what were the other phases? So where is the schema coming into play? Where are we updating, cross-cutting things for, what else is there? There's the workflow YAML, the workflow schemas, all that sort of stuff. Just describe that to me again from a phase point of view. I am. You probably should reset the current prompt because it's currently looking at 1-5. Let's just reset it to where it needs to be, and I'll look at this 1.3. When you've done it. Not quite what I want. Sorry. I'll give you a little bit more improvement. I read the 1-2 .pennymd file. It was quite readable. There was a lot of beautiful information in it. It's much easier to read than you writing it into the context window right here. So you can do the penny file and then you can stop. So penny so yes we are. So there is no max length to a summary. There's no min length. There's no length constraints on a summary. Because I might have a 5-hour video, so there is quality will be what's important, not the actual size. Now, as we look at summary, and I know that we're going into abridgment later on as well, we start to hit another thing that we need to document. And this is the idea of when in a workflow something is to happen in parallel. So a summary and an abridgment does that keep happening? Keep pressing the wrong button. Two ways of compressing information. But they have the same input and they're not dependent on one another. So in a workflow situation, these are actually able to be done in parallel. So this is workflow related information that you need to be aware of. Interview format is not important for now with summaries, not the way I'm using them. As to where to put it, design notes or observations, I feel like I did observations in a separate system to where we did design notes. And unless you tell me otherwise, I feel like only one file should exist. I'm assuming it's design notes, unless observations has a different logical meaning, which means we should keep it. But if we do, it should be in the docs folder, not in this prompts folder. Same thing with this formatting rules. This is prompt formatting rules. It probably should be in the docs folder. This is really cool. Okay. What do you recommend? and then move on to the next prompt. Oh shit, I got coffee. Cool, we should be moving on to the next file now. I keep pressing the wrong button. We get an abridgment version 1. Can I get you to do abridgment version 2 as well? And then I want you to tell me, is version 2 better? Because, to be honest, I only need one of them. And we're going to deprecate one straight away based on your recommendation. And then we're going to rename so that we've only got abridgment. And that's the one I need a penny on. V2 has just gotten written. Let's go look at it. Where's my mouse disappeared to? That's something I learnt last night. I better change something. Okay. Oh, what did it say? Poor formatting, wall of text now is subjective, could be. Yes, do it. We're renaming and deleting. So we're deleting version 1. We're keeping version 2. We'll be renaming it in a moment. So that's just gone and failed on us. So this is good. Come back to hasn't written the new abridgment. Let's see what it does. I'm going to end the live stream in a moment. Take a break, I think. It's 11:20. Don't know whether I'll be back on straight away. I probably won't be, but let's just see what it's doing down here. Deleted, renamed, removed, created. Let's go and see what it's created for me and read the abridgment. So we're after near lossless abridgments is what we're trying to do. Think of it as JPEG compression. This is perfect. Expected data. Outputs. Named may remove. Okay, this is good. Parallel execution opera. Yes, this is so cool. This is where the sub steps. This was something I learnt yesterday. We could do sub steps. Edge cases, very short. Named entities. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it now. This is good. Action items for second pass. Perfect. Let's just move on to the next prompt. Just down here for a moment. I know I'm about to get a phone call, that's why I'm going to stop the live stream. But I also need to do a commit. But we're running the next prompt. What is the next prompt? It's the abridgment quality assurance. Okay, let's make sure you look at this the same way as you did the other one. We've got a version 1 and a version 2. Version 1 is probably no good. So let's have a quick look ourselves at V1 and V2. Oh, did they get formatted along the way? Yes, great. This got formatted, so it's nice. Using XML outputs. The same thing happened with this. Yes, cool. Penny one assessment. So, well, the fact that it doesn't follow the formatting rules means that it will be fixed, but since it's probably not the right QA bot, it should be deleted. Validates the abridgment. So once we get an abridgment done at the same time as the summary, we can then kick off a validation. Okay, I'm going to have to stop the live stream.